Episode 197 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded August 23rd, 2018. Drawn out. We got four of us in this
You had to draw that out a little bit. You got a little dramatic pause.
Quiet clicking.
That was amazing.
I mean, when I edit this, it'll all be seamless, right?
No, you got to leave it drawn out. It's thematic.
I thought that was our
You're
whole
wrong.
thing we were doing this week.
Oh, man. We're going to lose listeners if I do this.
No, you just get a lot of comments.
Worth it.
That's what happens at TV shows. They draw stuff out too long. They lose viewers.
It's true.
That's right. That's our theme this week because we're talking about Disenchanted over on Netflix, the new Matt Groening little animated project.
Uh-huh.
The Venture Brothers. I don't know if you remember this animated series, but it takes 2 or 3 years between every single season.
Mm-hmm.
Season 7 is finally out.
Yeah, it started in 1972 as
Yes.
a puppet show, right?
Yes, in between Space Ghost and Rick and Morty, there was a thing called Venture Brothers that is still going.
And then we're going to talk about Better Call Saul, where they're drawing out the plot a bit.
They draw everything on Better Call Saul, and I love them for it, but they definitely do it.
I think they do a good job with their pacing.
They are taking forever to get to the story of the meth guy and his
Yeah, where's the blue meth
high
dude?
school kid.
Folks, we are the TV Dudes, and like I said, we got a full house. I'm Grant.
I'm Randy.
Kyle.
Les.
All four of us in the studio.
We were
Woo!
supposed to have 5 of us.
Oh, yeah, we were going to have a special guest this week.
Joe Parsons was very, very excited to talk about Disenchanted. So excited that he sent an email that we will read before we get to our Disenchanted.
Yeah,
Y'all are going to want to hear this.
our buddy Joe Parsons, who's guested on a couple episodes here in the past. He's one of the members of the Master Pancake Theater. It's like a riff tracks here in Austin, and also does stag comedy. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us, but he sure did leave us with quite a rant.
So, Grant, do you remember the last time Joe emailed us or called us and was like, yeah, I want to be on? Do you remember when that was?
No.
I do, because it was the Tracy Ullman show
Oh, shit.
on
Oh, that's
HBO.
right.
And he was like, we're going to talk about this, right? And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's great. I guess I'll watch it.
That's right. That's
And I got
right.
I got snaked into watching that piece of shit
No,
because
but
of
that
Joe
was
Parsons.
an amazing, not even trolling. Like he just called and was like, "We got to talk about this," but he gave no indication, good or bad.
Right.
Just pure unbridled excitement.
So no spoilers, but if you remember that episode, you might have a sense of why Joe was so excited to talk about Disenchanted this week.
I think we're going to have maybe a little bit of a split on this. I don't know.
Oh, it'll be interesting.
But before we get into all of that, folks, we do want to say that if you guys are listening to this and enjoying our show, there's a couple ways you can help us out. You can always go to iTunes or Stitcher or whatever platform you're listening to this on and give us a little review, spread the word to other people, go on Reddit, post our stuff, tell your friends, proselytize, all that
say
good
nice
stuff.
things.
Yeah. Another way is to go to patreon.com/tvdudes. This is where you can actually make a monetary pledge. Some people actually pay for things that they enjoy.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
What is this, the 90s?
I like freeloading. But some people like to say, hey, you're an artist. You're making something I love. Here's a shiny nickel for you.
These people never heard of Napster?
No,
No,
they're napping through
I've
that
heard
age.
about this trend. It's like an anti-boycott.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
kind-
it. I like
it's
it.
Kind of the opposite. Anyway, give us $1 an episode if you guys want. That amounts to $4 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee you get each day, right? Maybe
Sure. If I drank coffee, that's probably what I'd spend.
if you get expensive coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we've edged out coffee. I think we're cheaper than coffee. You should skip your coffee, drink your TV Dudes.
It's like our Beatles moment when Kyle went on the air and was like, "We're cheaper than coffee."
Yeah, that's it, Kyle. We're over now.
I've called it, y'all.
New T-shirt, cheaper than coffee. Patreon.com/TV Dudes. We're also proud members of the Electric Sweater Network.
Electric sweater. That's pretty good.
Always different every time. You guys, if we get enough Patreon money, Maybe singing lessons. I don't know.
We should hire somebody to do an actual jingle.
No, we're gonna book in a studio like they did in Boogie Nights, and it'll be just as good.
Yeah. Electricsweater.com. Go check it out. We got a bunch of other great podcasts on the platform. And now it's time for some TV news. Randy, what do we got?
I'm smiling big.
Oh, yeah?
Do you know why I'm smiling big?
Let me look through the list here.
Because the big story I'm starting with, I just want to declare Jim Parsons a national hero. Because supposedly Big Bang Theory is ending because Jim Parsons would not return to play, I guess, Sheldon?
Yeah.
Is that who he plays?
We don't even know.
Anyway, Big Bang Theory is ending. Our long national nightmare is over.
Here's the problem with that statement, though, is Big Bang Theory will never end because Big Bang Theory will be in syndication for the rest of our lives.
Hate it or not, it's beloved by like millions and millions of people, and unless you know where they're going to leave the corpse laying, the blood is going to spread into the ground, and 5 new shows will appear. Randy,
And that's the problem.
Is
The
Young Sheldon
zombies
still
of the
on?
Big Bang Theory.
Young Sheldon is still on.
They'll
Yes.
probably do a spin-off series
Young
called
Raj.
Intelligent Design or some shit like that. And everyone but Sheldon is there.
it'll be like Seventh Heaven meets Big. Oh God, this is writing itself.
Yeah. You could. Yeah.
I got to stop talking to this into the universe. This
Actually, if-
All of them find God.
If Chuck Lorre made a show that was about creationists, that was just like Big Bang Theory, I would love that. Because then all the creationists are going to get approached by whatever stereotypes he puts on the TV, and maybe it'll drive them all to madness.
You wouldn't love it. It would
No.
become popular. People would buy into it.
And then creationism would become a thing. They
yeah.
might teach it in schools, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No, that's crazy.
Can
It's
you
crazy.
imagine?
That's
guys?
insane.
All right, what other news we got?
Doctor Strange director boards Showtime horror series Kill Creek.
Kill Creek.
So,
I love that they say Doctor Strange director as if Scott Derrickson's history
never done
is
anything
not
else.
horror.
Yes, I
like,
know.
Like noted horror director who did a Marvel movie joins horror show. I'm looking forward to this. I think
Yeah.
Derrickson's a good fit.
so it's based on a best-selling horror novel called Kill Creek.
What do you think happens there?
It is based on a book about a best-selling horror writer, Sam McGarver, as he agrees to spend Halloween night in the Finch House, a long-abandoned building in Kansas, is said to be one of the most haunted houses in the U.S.
I'm not a fan of the word horror.
No?
I think that every time I hear someone say it, they don't hit that second R hard enough.
Do you think we should call it Spooky Time Mysteries instead?
I think that would probably be better.
Okay.
So what you're saying is it sounds better with a hard R?
In this instance,
Okay, just asking.
So when people leave off the R for you, does it sound more like I'm accusing a man of
Not being scary enough. you know?
hiring whores?
Yeah.
like
He's a horror?
He's a horror.
Yeah.
it's a horror movie. It's like that's
It's a
what I'm
horror
hearing. I'm
movie,
like,
like-
hit that second R, guys.
Are you just
Like that
admitting-
Iceberg Slim documentary.
Are you just admitting that you're disappointed every time you turn on a movie and it's not full of horrors?
It's just all soft consonants. I don't like words like that too. Have something that the mouth can grip onto.
Consonants are free.
This got weird. Anyway, a well-known spooky mystery director, Scott Derrickson, is doing a spooky mystery show called Kill Creek on Showtime, and we're all pretty excited about it.
I think if it's if it's horror that is for like super smart people, they're thrillers.
Oh,
Is that-
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's if you're trying to get your wife or girlfriend who doesn't like horror movies to watch one.
Yeah,
you
it's
call
a
it a
thriller.
suspense movie.
Like,
or
what was
thriller.
it? Hereditary. Like I think they worked really hard to not call that a horror movie. It was some other word.
Well, I think we just need more adjectives. So, like,
It's
if
a
it's
genealogical movie, I think.
if
no
it's,
one went.
if it's Friday the 13th, it's a stabby thriller.
Yes.
If it's
Stabtacular.
yeah, if you just got to kind of modify the genre a little bit.
I appreciate everybody accommodating.
We will go out of our way to only talk about when we talk about a horror show. We'll be talking about the Return of Deadwood.
Okay, deal.
The horror.
Man, there was a bunch of horrors in that.
Yeah, there are a lot of horse.
Are you guys saying horse?
Yeah, a lot of
Saying
horses.
I can't handle
ring
any of these
bearer
words.
or ring bearer.
Are you saying are we talking about luck? That's a different show.
We're off the rails here.
Yeah.
All right. Netflix has renewed the end of the fucking world for season 2, which is kind of weird because didn't that kind of definitively end?
No, you didn't see the body. You just heard a gunshot and it went black.
Were they all just really bad? Were there multiple gunshots?
Didn't it
Could've just
feel
been- they were
like
just running out
it
of-
had a good poetic ending?
It
Though?
really
Yeah.
did. I think we discussed this in our original discussion of Into the Fucking World, that this doesn't need a season 2, that this was a beautiful, perfect show. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I don't have high hopes for it. I feel like I'm peeling an eye open to look at a car wreck. I'm a little afraid.
This is Netflix once again, and I mean they're doing this in collaboration. I think with like Channel 4. I'm not sure if it's Channel 4, but I'm going to give you a couple reasons why this is a bad idea. 13 reasons, in fact. 13 reasons why. Because that season 2 sucked.
I assume they went a Pet Cemetery route, did they not?
They were supposed to do School Shooter, but I think they chickened out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
13 Reasons Why I Resurrected My Girlfriend from the Dead.
And getting some answers, that season 2 would have been fucked up.
So yeah, what if season 2 of End of the Fucking World is actually season 3 of 13 Reasons Why there's crossover?
No.
I mean, Netflix does need more crossovers.
I do wish that they had the Stones to have not asterisked out the name. When I got to interview Steve Oram, that plays the kid's dad.
Yeah.
They all on set. I asked him how they referred to the show, and he was like, "Oh, we just said it. We assumed that it was just going to be said in the title. It's on Netflix."
Yeah.
Like,
if they play it in The Good Place, it's the end of the forking world.
Yeah, exactly.
Netflix has canceled The Break with Michelle Wolf and the Joel McHale Show, which is probably good because neither of their shows were very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's my question. Hassan Minhaj has a talk show coming up on Netflix. Should he be nervous?
Yes.
Yeah.
But doesn't Chelsea Handler?
Chelsea Handler's doing it.
She still has one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not like getting out of the format entirely. It's just these last two. They were like, these were bad.
Difference.
Well, yeah, maybe there's something to learn from these.
Chelsea Handler and Michelle Wolf and Joel McHale Show was just bad. That's what happened there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was doing the math on like one of these people doesn't have to be nervous about their show being canceled.
Yeah.
Why?
Curly hair.
It's curly hair.
It's a curly hair thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the Michelle Wolf Show. The Joel McHale Show was flat out bad.
Terrible.
I just didn't enjoy it.
And finally, a story that I'm sure Grant was very excited to see. Watchmen has in fact been ordered to series at HBO by his boyfriend Damon Lindelof.
Yes! I love that guy.
Premieres in 2019. We still don't know much about it. All they've put is the quote, "Nothing ever ends," which is something that Dr. Manhattan says in Watchmen.
Dude, you know what's so exciting about it?
What?
Is, as far as we can tell, he's not bringing back any of the characters. He might bring back one or two from that world, but he's kind of doing his own story set within that world.
The question is he doing a sequel to Watchmen? Is he doing a sideline story? Like, I don't know what he's going to do. I'm really curious to see what he's going to do with it.
I think he's doing the Fargo approach to it. I think
which is awesome.
Yeah, he's just like, this is the tone, this is the world that was built. This is a society that is jaded by the concept of the superhero and has been fucked over by them. And what do we do in this kind of world? Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
And my boyfriend's doing the show.
Your boyfriend's doing the show?
I love him. I want to get matching little Dharma necklaces for us at hook up.
He is your constant.
Oh, he is my constant.
The last thing we want to mention.
Yes.
Is that there is a trailer out for the It's Always Sunny season 13, which, by the way, it's always worth noting, no show should be this good at season 13, but it's still always fantastic.
Big Bang isn't. It's going out on 12.
Big Bang's Theory just can't. Yeah, they when you hit that level of quality, you just kind of have to go on a high note.
Yeah, a few years ago when they announced that there'd be like 7 more years of It's Always Sunny, and I was like, how are they going to keep it up? And nope, they're fantastic. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
No Dennis, as far as we see.
But the rumors we'd heard is that Dennis is going to be in every episode.
I don't know. Is that what it is?
They just mean the sex doll?
It's possible they just mean the sex doll. That'd be amazing if that was the entirety of his role.
I'm
playing a sex doll.
Like if he just signed his likeness away to them.
Oh my God, that'd be fantastic. So
there's a new animated comedy over on Netflix by a young up-and-starter named Matt Groening.
Yep.
And it's called Disenchanted. It tells...
Disenchantment.
Disenchantment.
Is
I
it
wrote it wrong
Disenchantment?
on my notes.
Or is it Disenchanted?
And
we don't know.
It's about a princess who is pretty surly, and she wants to strike out on her own and get out from under the thumb of her shithead dad, the king, and a happy-go-lucky elf who actually suffers from depression and wants to get away from his life of everything being a little bit too saccharine, and they team up with a demon and they go on some adventures.
Yep.
I think we have a letter from our buddy Joe.
We do.
About his thoughts on this.
I'm going to read this in the style of a Civil War letter.
Okay.
Which probably is not going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like you should be a bard or something,
I do want to
right?
read it like that. Dearest TV dudes, it has been many days. No. I just want to say that the subject of this email is fuck Elfo.
Okay. Elfo is the elf character.
Yes, Nat Faxon's character.
Fellas, I am bummed about missing the recording tonight. I did, however, want to weigh in on Disenchanted, which is Disenchantment, by the way. I don't know if I have ever been more disappointed in an offering from an experienced team before. This series had such potential and just whiffed it. It had the right pedigree, the right concept, the right medium, but sigh. At least on Netflix, we got to see the whole season, as opposed to a network where it likely would have been canceled after episode 5 or 6. Perhaps I built up my expectation too high, and maybe the show is exactly what it told us it would be, but I don't feel like I want to talk about the story. I want to talk about the character. One character specifically, Elfo. Oh, Elfo. Where to start with this fucking guy? He leaves Elfwood because he wants to see a place where people are miserable. Smash cut to Bean, who wants to go somewhere that people are happy. Shouldn't this put them at odds with one another? Yet they become fast friends for no reason. Bean repeatedly defends him and saves his life despite the fact that he's an annoying little shit to her and everyone else, and all he does is relentlessly try to fuck her. He lies to her, harasses her, is basically an incel the whole time, believing he deserves her affections. Why does she like this guy? Elfo's blood serves as the MacGuffin for the entire season, which has two major flaws. First, it's not pure blood, and so that whole through line is rendered impotent. Why do we keep him alive again? Second, delivering this shitty elf's blood to her father is the one thing that would get Bean her father's love, which is what she really wants in the first place. Even after he dies, spoiler, and stays dead, his whole story arc, such as it was, to be revealed to be completely pointless. His death is meaningless, and we don't care. That was the moment I gave up on the show. One of the main characters died, and I couldn't muster a shrug. Fuck Elfo. As for the other characters, my main complaint is that it's a fantasy world. Why wouldn't they follow the classic D&D party archetypes? It's right there, all teed up for you. Your audience expects you to cast it in the way that works in this world you have built. Why not a fighter, a cleric, a mage, and a thief? Even if they had a fourth main character, make it a wizard or something. Lucy is fine, but he's a little one note. Bean is fine, but she defeats her own plans over and over. And, of course, fuck Elfo.
And then it goes on to say, so in this essay, I intend to explain my reasons why.
There are 13 reasons why you should fuck Elfo.
Oh, man. No, why you should fuck Elfo.
Yep, fuck Elfo. That's what he said over and over again.
Playing right into his plans.
Yep.
It's all just slash fic that Joe wrote about.
Yeah, Joe
Elfo?
really wants us to fuck Elfo.
Oh, boy. So I gotta be honest with you guys. I watched one episode and said, no thanks. One episode. I feel like I wasn't giving it a fair shake, but then I tried to look at some articles where they're like, what's the episode where it really does a great job? And I wasn't finding anything, so I was like, I'm just going to stick with one.
I watched 6 episodes and said no thanks, so I feel like I gave it more than its fair shake.
I am on episode 6. I made it through 4 episodes and was slipping in and out of it of like, this is not grabbing me. And my wife was at about the same point in it. She came and was like, yeah, I was going to watch the rest of Disenchantment. And it was like, no, I'm okay.
What about you, Kyle?
I watched 0 of this. Guys, I didn't even give this a fair... I painted my cabinets. I didn't do it.
You're not missing out. So I hope you feel okay. You probably made the best decision of all of us.
I don't know why I didn't expect... There's a season-long overarching plot about Elfo's blood and this whole and this immortality serum and all this stuff that, on the one hand, isn't front and center enough for me to really follow. Like it kind of feels like a constant let's play with this plot a little bit each episode, but not push it forward. But at the same time, they're not self-contained enough to be like madcap one-off Futurama episodes or something.
Exactly. That's the problem. You people, I've seen people defending this in the base as well. Futurama wasn't good from the start either. Futurama's what?
It really was good from the start.
Yeah, like you went and looked at what the fourth episode of Futurama was, and they introduced Zap Brannigan.
Yeah, so Nibbler and Zap Brannigan are introduced in like the fourth or fifth episode of Futurama. I was one of those people when Disenchantment started and I first started watching the first episode, and the pacing was completely different than what I wanted, and all the jokes felt like people were pausing for politeness between lines.
Yeah,
and the length of time between cuts on the scenes was longer. Like it just felt like a slow paced show.
Yeah,
and I remember watching Futurama premiere in a dorm room with people crammed in there, and I liked Futurama from the start.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember people leaving the room going, well, that wasn't The Simpsons. That sucked.
Yeah, yeah.
And it took a little while for you to learn the characters and learn to love them and then love the whole show. And so I thought maybe Disenchantment had the same problem.
Sure.
I'm 6 episodes in, and Joe points out a lot of the subtler problems with this. The characters, like why they don't gel right. They shouldn't gel right. They should have arguments about this stuff. Elfo doesn't stay true to the reason he leaves Elfwood or whatever the hell.
Yeah. Well, and the thing also, like Futurama the characters had conflicts with one another, and that's what made it good. They all shit on Zoidberg all the time, and it was done for jokes. Bender was a kill all humans. Like
Zap Brannigan and stuff come in and get like lampoon. There's no characters that none of the jokes hit like that.
Whereas in this one, like Lucy, they really do kind of undercut like Lucy and Elfo and what's the lead character's name? The princess Bean. Like all of them bond pretty early over nothing. Like I'm not sure why they bonded, but as a result, none of their motivations feel true to me. Like at no point do I ever feel like any of them are like Lucy talks about being a demon, but he's more kind-hearted than Bender.
And it doesn't really add up what the two people that have foisted the demon on her. Like, I don't get if they're good or bad for a little while. Yeah. When she saves the demon, they haven't had enough build up as to why she's like giving the middle finger to. I don't know. Like on top of it, it's just fucking slow. Yeah. And the music feels weird. I love Mark Mothersbaugh, but the first couple episodes, the music is straight up strange.
Yeah.
I only watched one episode, and I was like, nope, not for me. I also hated Futurama. I never got into that show ever.
Futurama?
Yeah, never liked it. It felt like Simpsons Light, and even then, Simpsons itself was already Simpsons Light. So,
interesting.
Yeah, Futurama overtook Simpsons for me, and I like it more.
I will watch when season 2 of this comes out. I will give it an episode or two to win me over to see if they can course correct, because the people involved in this, like it is a lot of the Futurama people. It's not just Matt Groening. Like David X. Cohen is listed on the
it's every voice actor. Like Parsons nailed. Like this thing has the pedigree to fly, and it.
Also, the voice actors aren't great. Like the voices aren't that interesting.
Having Eric Andre as Lucy and
he is so restrained.
Nat Faxon as Elfo. Nat Faxon's Elfo is annoying in that you kind of expected this sort of at least charm to it. Like it reminded me of what's the snowman from Frozen?
Oh, Josh Gad.
Yeah, Josh Gad's character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was thinking, it's an annoying voice at first, but then you're like, oh, he's just so sincere and just earnest all the time that I'm like, I find you very endearing.
Yeah, it's like if you had an Olaf that you wanted to kill.
Yeah, but this one's like he's inconsistent in whatever his motivation is there.
What if Olaf had
Are you depressed? Are you happy? I don't know what's going on. Maybe manic? I don't know.
If Olaf had wanted to fuck the princess?
The whole time. That's his only motivation in every scene.
Oh, he's just a horny elf?
Yeah, he's just a horny elf. I feel like that was the log line they wrote on their whiteboard, like horny elf, and they never got any further. And I feel like that's how all these characters are, like douchey king, tomboy princess.
I kept having to remind myself that it's Eric Andre, because Eric Andre as a comedian is so unrestrained and nuts and like
but he's also kind of deadpan a lot of the time, and so
taking the visual away from like him being in a room with people. I don't know. He seems so restrained as Lucy that it just feels sardonic and like lean back and snipe on this.
I think the best character, and maybe the only moment that was funny, was Les. You and I talked about this off mic. Was the prince she's supposed to marry, the obnoxious prince,
Matt Berry,
who is their Zap Brannigan, basically.
Yes,
and he goes out and winds up, he's going after what they think are mermaids, and they're trying to be walruses.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and there's
the ship that they're on. I love that the ship captain's like, over there is Mermaid or Siren Island or Mermaid Island, and over there is Walrus Island. You don't want to be mixing them up. And then he immediately swims to the Walrus Island. But yeah, he turns up later with his walruses.
I forget what the ship name was because the ship name also gave me a laugh, and I don't remember what it was.
There's jokes with the king. They tell the king that Lucy the demon is just a cat.
Yeah.
And it's always Lucy's like, meow, that's a thing cats say, right? Like, why would I know cats? But the king's interactions with him feel like Futurama or Simpsons paced jokes.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of show around those jokes.
It was hugely disappointing. And the only thing that makes me want to finish it out the season now is to know that I might get to watch Elfo die.
Yeah, I didn't know that happened, but that gives me some hope.
Okay, so let's talk about Venture Brothers, which is just returned over on Adult Swim. I believe I'm the only one who actually caught up and watched the first 3 episodes of this newest season.
I am 7 episodes behind then, because I have 4 left in season 6, and then the 3 new ones.
And I'm on the tail end of season 3.
And I've never seen a single episode of the Venture Brothers before.
So the pacing issues
Kyle
we're discussing
is bringing
with
it today.
Disenchantment, are the opposite with Venture Brothers. Like, if anything, this is at a 1.25 or 1.5x joke speed.
I've seen pictures of this guy, Doc Hammer, and he has a unique look, to say the least. And this guy, he's like
and Jackson Public, and
he's like a Rick and Morty type creator type guy.
Yeah.
Tell me on the show.
Okay, so this is a show for, I would say it's a show for people that like dense, deep-cut pop culture references and comic book culture being really turned on its ear, but like really playing with that fused with the Johnny Quest storylines from the 50s and 60s.
It is layered with references.
But not just references, but whenever your friends have said, like reading Fantastic Four, like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if the variant on the powers was like the worst case scenario of real life of how this would work?
What if a Spider-Man who had to shoot webs out of his butt?
Yeah, like where spiders actually do that, yeah. And they have wonderful moments, like there's spider characters walking around campus as the Peter Parker nerd, right? And the bully is going to throw a soda can at him, and his spider sense goes off, and he stands there and like, I know there's a can coming. I could turn and stop it, but it would give away my identity. And he just lets himself get hit with the can, and then his web shooter goes off, which looks like he craps himself. And like, so they have a Human Torch that anytime he comes into contact with oxygen, he bursts into flames, and it's an immediate screaming, like, "Put me out! Put me out!"
They have a Batman and Robin sort of like fused with like a Superman type character, and it's very much the creepy relationship between the boy Ward and the adult.
See, to me, these are jokes that and maybe it's just because I've been in comics so long, I've seen all these jokes.
But they're not one-off jokes. They fully invest in these as characters, and they have storylines built around them that go on and pay off either in the background or in ongoing arcs through seasons.
To me, that's why the Venture Brothers works, where like this is every like super culture dense group of nerds idea for a show, basically. Like everybody's thought up the Venture Brothers show, but like the reason that this iteration of this idea works for me is that they throw out 1,000 references in every episode.
Yeah.
All of them count, everything's canon, and all of it will probably be picked up again at some point. Like every character seems to turn up again and is exactly where you'd think they'd be that many years later. It's crazy.
The character designs are just so wildly creative. The naming of these characters.
And I like the ones that aren't just references. Like there's definitely stuff that like Action Johnny turns up, and that's Johnny Quest now, and they discuss this with Rusty too, with like the Dr. Venture, that like your childhood is friggin' awful because you were dragged around by crazy superhero adults, and you were basically the foil that was constantly tied to a chair and shit. And so like the Spanakopita episode is crazy like that. Like they have a character that gets addicted to
traumatized, right?
Yeah, they have a character that gets addicted to trank darts.
Yeah.
So there's all this kind of stuff happening, but even the ones that aren't references, like Harangatang is one of their villains, or Trucules, or Henry Killinger. And the entire council,
a great character.
Having David Bowie be one of the villains, and I mean it's not just Bowie. Like Klaus Nomi shows up and Iggy Pop. It's so fucking weird.
The thing that
Billy Quizboy.
I think that Venture Brothers does is it is also riffing on and nostalgic about the Filmation and Hanna-Barbera comics shows of the 70s. So Johnny Quest is definitely referenced.
The whole thing kind of looks like a better animated Johnny Quest.
It does. It feels like this is like everybody loved that Johnny Quest intro. That intro for Johnny Quest was amazing. And this is kind of what you wanted it to be instead of being sort of it can be Johnny Quest can be a little stiff because of the animation style. Mm-hmm. So this is more of a like behind the scenes at Johnny Quest. Like Johnny Quest grew up, tried to emulate his father, is not up to the job.
Yeah.
He's got a badass bodyguard. He's got all this history that he's just not capable of living up to. That's kind of what Doc Venture is.
BoJack Horseman is like what happened after the Brady Bunch ended.
Yeah.
Kind of. Then this is what happened after the camera stopped rolling on Quest.
That's a good connection. Yeah.
I would say more though. What's interesting about Venture, Dr. Venture, is that he doesn't try to follow in his father's footsteps. He seems actually disdainful of his father's footsteps, but
he's jealous.
He has taken over like his birthright, and he has this whole industry now, this complex, and he tries to use it because he's a scientist.
Well, and there's one whole really great arc where someone makes the argument to him that he's a terrible super scientist, but he would actually be a phenomenal villain.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And like they have this great arc of like where it was like, no, accept what you're good at. Just admit it. Like this would be your strength here.
So that is the thing I want to reference before we get to the new stuff.
Right.
The Guild of Calamitous Intent, the supervillain organization, like that is where all my interest lies. Like everything to do with those, where
their rules that everybody follows.
Yeah, I love the Guild of Calamitous Intent. I love everything to do with that, and I really grew to like the stuff going on with the Monarch as his arch nemesis. Like that's the story I'm interested in more so than anything going on in the Venture compound. Is all the stuff with the Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend and
was this hyped up too much for you before you watched it?
I think it might have been.
Like tailor made for someone like you.
I know. You know the thing is, Adult Swim, I am real hit and miss on. Like Rick and Morty is the only Adult Swim thing I love.
How far did you make it? How many seasons in?
Almost 3 seasons in. Like
okay.
Third season in.
So, it gets better and better each season, though.
And the stuff you've watched, like by season 4 or 5, when this stuff is still coming up and piling on, it gets jaw dropping. Like the Operation Prom episode I told you about when you were asking if it's possible to skip forward and like maybe to the prom episode.
Yeah.
But you really shouldn't because it's like 5 years worth of references that just suddenly pay off in little because they've done all that groundwork. They can just throw little scenes in and you go, oh my god.
Well, here's the thing. I do really like the show. Like it's very enjoyable. I'm burning through it. But I don't love it the way I feel like people love it. I expected to like fall deep in love with this show.
I feel like the more you watch it, the more you'll love it.
I guess I like it.
It's a weird way to sell it that way. But I think with each episode, I more appreciate how they can continue enriching this world and building upon it like layers and layers. It's like the first couple episodes started off as like a couple Lego bricks, and now it's like this mansion. And I'm like, oh man,
I can see that.
That first episode was like a Flash animation, and it looked kind of bad.
I'm also realizing that I watched the first season of this in 2005.
Yeah.
And like Rick and Morty didn't exist. None of this. I mean, like
I think that's part of.
So
the
like
thing
when
too.
You said earlier, like, but I've seen these things a million times. Like. But when it started, I hadn't.
You hadn't, yeah.
I mean, we thought of these jokes a million times. Yeah. We've never seen somebody fully animate them and get a crew behind it.
Yeah.
We were talking about the other night, talking about this, that I wonder if for you this is like me in Game of Thrones.
I think that's what it is.
Where people came in and went, you love D&D and you love medieval stuff and you love this show is perfect for you. You'll love it. And I sat down and went, did y'all just never seen medieval stuff before? Because that's medieval stuff. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And like I kind of sat down and went, "There's your
so
comic
derivative."
references." like I feel like Randy sat down and went, "Yes, these are comic references."
Yeah, I've seen comic references. I like it. I like when they do the guy who hunts Blackulus. That's a great riff. I like Dr. Orpheus. I love the season without giving too much away. The season 2 reveal about Hank and Dean was a great twist. And the season 2 wrap up that's got like the big, Phantom Limb Monarch stuff. There's so much good stuff.
That goes on for so long.
It's a really good show. But I did not fall in love with it at the point of like, oh wow, I can't wait to watch all 7 seasons of this. I was like, it's good, but like I'm probably going to go back to my Parks and Rec rewatch.
Yeah, I don't know. It
what?
Venture Brothers drops my jaw. Like,
stop with the
I'm
rewatch.
totally rewatching Parks and Rec right now too.
Yeah.
Shannon has never seen
It's
any
amazing.
of it. We started from season 2, of course.
like
I
Venture
started with-
Brothers doesn't have one whole bad season,
I watched season 1.
and Parks and Rec does.
We're gonna watch season 1 at the end. That's how I recommended it.
That's fair.
Hey guys, we're not talking about Parks and Rec here.
Yeah.
Whoa, Parks and
We're
Rec.
talking about a show that doesn't have one entire bad season.
Okay, so this season, season 7, 3 episodes have now come out since this was released.
3 of 7,
on the
3
5th.
of 6, 3 of 4.
3
7 of 9?
5 episodes.
21
this
of,
season.
of one.
So it's once again a short season.
Wait, it's 5 episodes?
Yeah, man. Last season was only 8.
Venture Brothers is the first show that I ever stopped watching because I couldn't figure out when they were ever going to air again.
But this first one, it starts off with a 3-parter, and it's telling this kind of twisting story where the first episode leaves you kind of open-ended with where all these characters are at, and then it jumps back in time to show how they arrived at those points. And it just layers upon layers upon layers. It's doing some Tarantino-esque
Is it more
stuff here.
complicated than the comic book value episode?
It's kind of complex.
Okay. Randy, have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
There's an episode that rolls Memento style backwards through time.
I don't think I've seen that one.
But the tracking for it is that Hank has a comic book that's like a Batman #1 kind of comic, and as soon as like it comes out of the package, the CB value, like the comic book value, goes up at like the bottom corner of the screen, and you watch that dollar amount like change.
Yeah, I mean, I was really. I don't want to go into spoilers since you're now catching up. Les is
behind.
rushing through here.
I love getting stuff spoiled. I actually watched all the recaps, so I actually know what happens in Venture Brothers. I've just never watched an episode.
Oh, well, I would say a lot of what they started setting up in the last season, especially regarding like what was it called?
He's in Ventec now.
The big explosion of the Gargantua 2, I think it's called.
All that in Gargantua 2.
Yeah, all this in Gargantua 2. The explosion of that, a sort of reckoning between Monarch and Dr. Venture, and Dr. Venture's father issues, as well as the Monarch's father issues. I think it all really starts paying off here, and they introduce this character. Blue Morpho. I mean, they introduced him last season. Who's the guy who looks like Red Skull? I think his name is Mr. Death.
No. The guy who looks like Red Skull. Yeah, I can't remember what.
Red Death. His name's Red Death, who they call Mr. Death occasionally. And this guy, he goes into these monologues where he's talking about like some of the darkest, most fucked up, twisted shit in this show, and it just sucks you in at times. And I'm like, this is a cartoon, this is an anime cartoon. Wow, it gets so dark, and then it just goes back to it's kind of silly, absurd characters and how they're crossing paths. But I love this show. I think that it's not one of those shows where I'm laughing the entire time, but I'm just amazed by all the details, by all the imagination that goes on to building this world, and it gets better with each season.
Yeah. This has a richness that was sorely lacking in Disenchantment for me.
Oh, man. Let's talk, for our last show, about what I like to call Breaking Bad Jr.
Is this good? Is this good?
This show?
Yeah.
Better Call Saul?
Yeah. I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah. It's like really good.
Yeah.
It should be called Better Watch Saul.
Better watch. I see what you did there.
Get out of here, Kyle. So, Better Call Saul, episode 3.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I love how they open this show where they start in the middle of a thing and you're trying to figure out, what the fuck am I watching?
how did this one open?
This opened with the spike strip, and then
It felt very, very reminiscent. I'm like, haven't they already done
And
this?
then we see Nacho driving his like tricked out car directly at it, and you're like, what is he doing? And he does that, and then he like goes and his buddy's body in the trunk. You're like, oh right, that's where we left off. And then
that body in the trunk, what was that stuff all around it?
that was the meth, wasn't it?
Was that blue meth?
No, that wouldn't be blue meth because
It looked kind of bluish.
It did to me. I thought it was like their early version of the blue meth or something.
I didn't even like look and think about what was in the trunk with him. I just know that like, they were probably hauling drugs across the border together or whatever.
But
and so they put him up in the front.
that elaborate staging a hoax and all the detail that goes into staging it fits so well with what we know of Gus Fring.
Yeah, that's very Gus.
Yeah. And then I loved seeing is it Tyrus? Is that what his name is?
Yeah.
And it's Crazy 8, right? Isn't that Crazy 8?
Is that Crazy 8?
I feel like it is. These are guys from Breaking Bad who we saw mostly at the end of their journey.
Right.
Yeah. And I like seeing them at their most badass.
I recognize that guy too. I didn't know if it was because we'd seen him on Saul or if it was from Breaking Bad.
No, I'm pretty sure that's Crazy 8.
Man, yeah, it's rough seeing the journey that Nacho goes through this episode.
Yeah.
And it totally sucks because, in part, he's not the best guy, but we're still kind of rooting for him because he's our point of view character for a part of the story. And, man, it's just brutal for him.
Yeah.
Laying there out in the sun, then being taken with the vet. And
there was a weird thing, though, about the situation we saw him in last season and the beginning of this season where, like, the suspense, like, the stress, just, like, everything, it was noticeably taking a toll on him. And then to succeed only to have that, what happened in the finale last, it was like the more he got fucked up in this episode, the more he got hurt. I was like, oh my God, that's like the only thing saving his life right now.
Yeah.
Like, because it's really like you have to be like an inch within living in order for these guys to buy that you really, did all this. Because it's all a sham.
Well, and the funny thing is he lost his dad. Like his dad doesn't want anything to do with him now because of what he knows. And so everything
he can't escape.
Everything he was doing to try and protect his dad didn't matter. His dad's protected, but his life is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Nacho's story is interesting, and I don't know how it's going to end. We're pretty sure he's going to be dead by the time this is over. We don't really know.
Right. I'm not expecting a redemption arc for him, which is pretty brutal.
Well, I don't expect redemption. I just wonder if he's even going to be alive.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because it's almost like, when you see these henchmen of, what's his name? Yeah, Gus Fran.
Mm-hmm.
You look at him and you're like, okay, how do you go from like normal person to stormtrooper? And I feel like this story is kind of giving us like that background, like of how you become a maid. Because what I could see happening is he starts working for Gus, and Gus starts taking care of him. And he's like, hey, this ain't that bad of a deal. But then something comes up, he wants to get out, and it's like, but no, you can't.
Well, that's what happened
to Jesse. You get pulled deeper and deeper and deeper.
That was Jesse's whole arc. Gus became part of Gus's organization. He thought he was getting taken care of, and then all of a sudden he's like, wait, are you going to be in Mexico? Wait, what? Yeah, and like things just got worse and worse for him.
Right.
Also, we see that Jimmy has backslid into his old con artist ways.
Yeah. So what do we think about the psychology of Jimmy that he is doing this? Like, I mean, we talked a little bit last week about how it felt like Jimmy didn't like those people being such suckers, so he wanted to hurt them because in part he's not processing his grief properly with his brother,
right? And
he's looking at these people in a similar lens to how he views his father as a sucker and a coward.
I think this was kind of they're trying to slip in Jimmy a little bit. He's like, Chuck's not there to judge him for it anymore, so he can kind of like take a little revenge on his brother by being this guy. And also, this hurts these guys in a way that they won't even know they're being hurt, which sort of I think is what he wants. He wants them to sort of learn their lesson without being directly confronted by it.
What I think is going on is I think that whether or not he admits it, he was trying to prove something to Chuck. Maybe not that he wasn't, a crook or a scoundrel, but maybe just like, well, I can do it too. Like I can be a good lawyer. I can be this.
Right.
And even before Chuck died, kind of at the end of last season, I think he had kind of gotten to a point to where he was like, fuck my brother. I don't care.
I'm never going to teach never going to show him
so when we see how cold he is to losing his brother, I'm starting to think maybe he's just like, fuck it, this is me,
Well, once he no longer feels like he's directly responsible, he just lets go of everything and goes back to his regular life, which was kind of fascinating when we're watching Rhea Seehorn, Kim, her relationship with him and how she goes through what she's going through with her business, being kind of overwhelmed by how much they're investing in her. And then she looks at Jimmy, and he seems to be coping with things much better than he should. And in a way, it seems like she was a little bit frustrated by that, and she wanted him to have to feel some sort of bigger emotion. So she brought out that letter that we thought was going to be sort of this Chekhov's gun.
And instead he just kind of blew that off.
That was surprising, yeah.
Best acting I've seen so far this season. I mean, she is killing it this season.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
But between last week or the week before, where she chews out.
That was last week.
Yeah, last week, chews out the lawyer.
Yeah.
And then this week, when she's sitting there and she just has to do reaction, where she's tearing up while he's reading the letter nonchalantly.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That was so powerful. And I think it's so telling between the characters, like what's going on.
Yeah.
This is a show that manages so well to show instead of tell what the characters are feeling.
Yeah.
That scene kind of reminded me of when Doc Brown was reading the letter that the other Doc Brown had wrote to him, like the younger Doc Brown, when he's fixing up the DeLorean to send Marty back in part 3. You know,
Why would it remind you
this
of
letter
that?
finds you good. I don't know. They just kind of speak in a similar writing voice.
That is maybe the weirdest comparison I've ever heard.
I mean, and then the way they're shooting from down low on the other side of the counter, so it's like kind of an upshot on like Bob Odenkirk, and it's like he's just like, this letter.
I'm a season behind on Better Call Saul, but did this show get real weird? Like,
Kyle did. Kyle got real weird.
I'm wondering if like
this scene in the train tunnel, it's an
if
outlier.
I go back and watch Breaking Bad, are there episodes now where like that's Jimmy forward in time?
Oh man.
Well,
It's like the Lost style thing.
You know, if we tell Les yes,
Yeah.
he will binge the rest of it by tomorrow.
That's
By
true.
tomorrow, I will
there's
finish
time.
this.
There's time travel in it now, Les.
So mad.
I did think of a really interesting twist that they could bring to the show this episode.
Uh-huh.
Is
Is it hoverboards?
Oh, that would be pretty awesome. No, it would be interesting to find out that he's working as Saul Goodman at the same time he's interacting with all these characters.
Right.
But he's doing it like on the sly, kind of as like doing it in secret.
It'd be interesting. I don't see them do it. I feel like they're gonna do the big unveil of Saul.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we'll get the big unveil, but it would be interesting if we find out he's been Saul this whole time. He's been setting it up. Yeah.
But we never get a sense of his Saul life. We just know that he's living like this double life.
Right.
I don't know. Something interesting they could do, or
Also,
too cheesy.
when Gus started hearing about like he could make his own meth and that kind of thing, I really thought we were going to get the surprise introduction of Heisenberg.
Oh, really?
I thought because he was going to a school, and I'm like, wait, are we going to do?
No, I think so. I think someone
they set
already
that
kind of
up as
spoiled
a-
this for me.
I think
though.
they did.
misdirect?
I think they set up as misdirect. Now, I didn't really think he was going to run to Walt, but I thought he might be looking for him. And so I'd forgotten, of course, about Gale, which was I loved seeing Gale again.
But do you get the sense that in some way Gus was a puppet master for Walter White becoming who he did? Like I didn't think I thought organically Walter White kind of fell into this.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that I at times it feels like maybe they're building Gus up to be a little bit too much of this like genius mastermind.
No, I don't think Gus. I do think Gus is going to happen upon. He's going to happen upon Walt the way he does in Breaking Bad. Like Walt was on his own journey, and he happened to run into the organization. And what we're seeing is how the organization came to be in place. Like I don't think Gus had anything to do with Walt becoming who he was.
Also, I'm pretty sure this scene with Gale pays off something from Breaking Bad, where Gale is kind of introducing himself to Walt and Jesse, and he's like, "Yeah, Gus paid for me to go to school, did all this, yada yada," and now
wasn't there an implication that Gale had done something? There was a reason he couldn't work in academia anymore. Like I feel like we're going to see some. I feel like there was a reason like that he was now working in the super lab, and I think we may see both the origin of the super lab and what caused Gale to not be an academic anymore, besides obviously being on drugs while he's at school.
But Gus managing to stage a crime scene that makes his boss want to shut down their over-the-border operation and start finding an in-the-country dealer.
Yeah.
And then like having that just like work out so well for his narrative, and then him walking over to Gale, and Gale is already also eager to start cooking meth for him under the table.
Yeah.
I don't know. At that point, I'm just like, all right, that's all working out very conveniently.
That makes perfect sense, though, because why wouldn't he want? He wants to be disconnected from the cartel. The notion of Gus getting his own meth lab would absolutely be his end game, because then he can cut the cartel out completely.
Well, and we've seen. So the guy said, and maybe we're not here yet, but they said that run shipments without any product. And he goes, okay, we can probably only do that for a week. Gus is going to run product because he knows that nobody's out to hit him. So, I mean, there's multiple ways where this can work in his favor to put money in his pocket.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thrilled to see Gale. I really liked it, and I don't know. I'm not thinking of it as like how does it intersect with Breaking Bad. I feel like every time we see that, that's almost like cherry on top of the sundae. Like the show itself is so good. Like you talked about Ray Seahorn being so good. Like I don't mind that they're throwing a little fan service in for the Breaking Bad fans.
It also really feels like the show is like now that Gus is a major player in this show, it feels like it's not really Saul's show as much anymore. It feels like it's kind of spinning away from him.
I don't know. I disagree. I mean, remember the season 1, we were all like, oh, maybe it should be Better Call Mike because it was so much about Mike's show. But Jimmy's story, the story of how Jimmy becomes Saul, is still the heart of this show. Like the biggest question here isn't what's going to happen with Gus and Gale and all that. We know what happens with them. We don't know what happens with Jimmy and Kim. We don't know what happens with Nacho. Those are the big mysteries left to explore in this show.
Yeah, I guess it's just now I find that Gus Fring's operation is a little bit larger than the life right now of Jimmy. This isn't to knock the show. I still love the show, but I watch this and I go, oh, now it's the Gus Fring operation. And I like, because how are you going to have a big genius like crime pen kingpin kind of guy operating like this, and like every move he makes is amazing, and then back to the little hijinks of Jimmy, and then Mike, who's just an amazing burglar, back to the wacky hijinks of Jimmy. It just seems like he's third banana in his own show in a way.
I can see that. I guess for me it's I kind of like Better Call Saul because Breaking Bad was front and center about Walt, and so when we had the story of him going up against Gus, it was the story of Walt versus Gus, or it was a story of how Jesse was dealing with all this stuff. I like the notion of a story where basically the spine of it is a story we know, and underneath it we're seeing this sort of smaller story that has this big impact on a character that we all know and love and came to the show for. I like how it reverses just Breaking Bad expectations.
Sure, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
I guess in that regard,
I don't disagree with you either. I think you're right that Gus is a big story, and he does risk, especially with Giancarlo Esposito's performance here, he does risk sort of overtaking the show. But so far, I don't think they've done that.
I don't necessarily think it's like the worst thing. And now that Gail Bedecker is going to be back in the mix, man, him singing that song, by the way,
wow.
he had to memorize all that, and just how he memorized it, how he was singing it and dancing around the table, so good.
It's a Tom Lear song, by the way.
Who?
Tom Lear.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he was a piano performance artist in the 50s.
No kidding, I didn't know they were.
Yeah, he's singing the chemistry song.
Okay,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, it makes perfect sense. He's got it in his headphones and he's singing along with it. I've heard that song. I could sing part of it.
Okay.
No, if I had it in my earphones.
Fair
Potassium and nitrogen.
Good. Oxygen sounds like another one.
Beryllium.
Yeah, Leher, Lear. Yeah, people should go look up Tom Lear. He's a trip.
Go look up Tom Lear. His stuff is great.
All right, guys. Well, we'll be back, I'm sure, next week to also talk about Better Call Saul. But
catch up on Castle Rock probably.
And Elfo.
Oh, yeah. We need to catch up on Castle Rock.
And then we're talking about Elfo, right?
No more Elfo.
Oh, okay.
No more Elfo.
Getting a spin-off show.
All right. Is it time for dessert?
It's time for dessert,
Yay!
guys. So let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be back with some listener questions. Listener question time, folks. Once a week, Randy puts up a little question post on our Facebook.com/TVDudes page, and you guys can ask us whatever you want. This week, our first question comes to us from Jonathan Huffnagel, who says, Dear TV Dudes, what TV show needs to be made into children's animated series worthy of a 90s Saturday morning? Perhaps the continuing adventures after the plot ends, or perhaps adapted as different from the source material as the Beetlejuice cartoon series. It may even keep the adult material found in series like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad.
I feel like the Americans, the wacky hijinks of Soviet spies in 80s America could be a great animated series. There should be a wacky uncle who's like always almost finding them out.
I think Lost or Alias, either one
Alias would actually be an amazing animated series.
would be fun. I think Lost would be a fun animated series
Yeah.
too.
You do Game of Thrones, but you make it about the dragons when they're babies. Do it a la like Spyro the Dragon, and it's like an animated
Dragon
like,
babies. I love
Dragon babies.
I'm going to go with Kyle's answer.
Yeah, Kyle's
Winter
right.
is coming in a very long time.
I like Dragon Babies. I think that's a winner.
Alejandro Reyes Zapata says, what time period would you want to have a new Matt Groening animated show in?
Read the room, Alejandro.
Stone Age,
Not medieval.
60s, 70s, 80s. I would like a modern day setting, but in an alternate universe / history.
I think if you stipulate the Disenchantment was good, this is that alternate world.
How about here's a little twist. Since we're all kind of down on it, what if it's a Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland joint?
Oh, I want 1920s gangsters and bootleggers.
What?
Yeah.
Ugh, I just do not find that period interesting at all.
But
we had Boardwalk Empire, and I was like, yawn.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a yawn fest. Jeez, yeah, what period? That is, I do not have. What if we did
World War II?
Matt Groening's? I was going to say Civil War.
Oh, Civil War. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you make that funny?
Yeah, that's a challenge. Oh my
I mean,
God.
if it's going to suck anyways.
Can you imagine how problematic a Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland Civil War series would be?
Yeah.
Like, that is, yeah, I feel racist for suggesting it.
You guys want us to tell you our thoughts?
Actually, I feel like I was talking about Matt Groening, but Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland, like Mad Men. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that just be Archer?
Oh, dang it. They already did make that.
Without the spies, though.
Without the spies.
But now Archer's tailspin, so.
Yeah.
I want the future. Always the future.
You want more future?
Yeah, just go super
But
futuristic.
weirdly, you were not a Futurama fan.
No, that's
It's
right.
like a Matt Groening future show.
Oh no, I was thinking for Justin
for
Roiland.
Roiland.
Yeah, he switched over.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I just don't like I don't like Matt Groening anymore.
Do you want like a gritty cyberpunk future from Roiland and Harmon? Just like the worst possible outcomes,
Like the most dysfunctional, definitely made by real companies with like the level of product recall and shoddy workmanship and
Yeah.
stuff that goes into like a cyberpunk future.
Yeah.
It's all Ronco.
a darkly corporate future. I can see that. Yeah,
Just made of Szechuan sauce.
Like nobody's updates work for shit.
Yeah.
All these companies that just capitulate to fan fervor and for no reason, and then it just overtakes the world. Ugh. Jonathan Hatzemichael says, hi, dudes. I landed in New York, and I have been checking out Times Square like a filthy tourist when I found numerous ads for Disenchantment as well as Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Since Rise is the 7th cartoon reboot that nerds are bemoaning, I wanted to know what you dudes and Joe, who's not here, feel about the different iterations of the Heroes in the Half Shell. Which versions of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles do you dudes like, and what aspects of the versions you didn't like seemed interesting, if any?
Go Ninja,
Oh,
go Ninja,
go Ninja. Can I mention something
All Vanilla Ice.
about the probably not the first cartoon? Well, actually, no, maybe the first one. Those action figures from when I was probably early
Yes.
the
90s.
Playmates action figures.
Oh my gosh, they are going for $300 a pop in the packaging, and out of the box. Good luck finding one with the belts still. Those belts are long gone. And I've done extensive research on this.
I loved that cartoon when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 80s version.
And
of
the
Teenage Mutant.
side-scroller arcade game was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Even the top-down one was kind of infuriating but fun. Yeah, I liked even what's the sequel movie that was just recently that came out. Out of the Shadows.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. It had Bebop and Rocksteady and a bunch of the crazier shit from the comic or from the cartoon.
Oh, man, really?
I kind of have a
They have
weird
Krang?
guilty pleasure thing with
Krang's
those
in it.
Michael Bay Turtle movies. Like Juicy J did that track for the first one. Oh, you know I got your back, just like a turtle shell.
So I never watched any of the Turtles cartoons. I did see the live action movie, and I did have the soundtrack from the live action movie on cassette.
Which live action movie? The very first
the very
one?
first one.
Okay.
So
not the Vanilla Ice
not the Vanilla Ice,
turtle
the,
rap,
no, the
not
previous
the ninja
one.
rap.
The ninja
Yeah, that was
rap.
the second one.
Yeah, that's the
Secrets
second
of
one.
the Ooze.
The first ninja rap is on that, and it's not memorable, but I remember it.
Do you think when they were making the cartoon, they went to McDonald's and they were like, "We got this character. His name's Michelangelo. He's going to eat hamburgers. Give us a bunch of money." And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Fine, we're going to Pizza Hut." Damn, that cartoon sold some pizza
Because
when
it was
I was
created
a
as
kid.
a black and white comic.
Yeah,
No
turtles
joke.
were put in pizza were part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. My fondness is I do have all the comics. I've read all the
The Eastman Laird.
yeah, the hardcover, not the original. That's just expensive, but like the new stuff. And I have a huge fondness for the comics because they are a riff on Frank Miller's Daredevil, and they're super fun and kind of dark and interesting.
I got mad when they redid the Ninja Turtles and they shrunk their noses. I don't like how they look anymore. I want that big old bulbous nose that they have in both the original cartoon, and in the movies that they did.
I do think the new movies that design was weird. The blended. I don't care if it's more correct for turtles. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new live action ones are weird looking.
Yeah.
We had a
Super weird
design. You guys did not need to change it.
Now the CGI movie. I normally hate fully CGI animated movies
Yeah.
like that unless it's like rising to like a Pixar level of quality. But
Right.
the TMNT movie from a few years ago was really
Shadows of
fun.
the Past, something like that.
I can't remember.
I think it was like
Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows or
It was
something.
something,
Like that.
Out of the Shadows is a new live action movie, but
there was a solid there was
but there was just a
solid,
TMNT
yeah.
like
Oh, I know what you're talking
all
about.
CG animated. It was before
Yeah.
they did a TV show of it, so it wasn't quite as. I think the TV show they did right after that was CG. They lowered the age a little bit.
I heard the action sequences were pretty awesome.
I
too.
liked it. I really. Granted, I was rooming with somebody at the time who was like obsessive about the turtles. Like that was his childhood like love, and so it was. I kind of sat back as a roommate and like, I'm just gonna not say anything about this movie because I assume you're gonna hate it. Like he had issues with it as like a church going turtle
Yeah.
worshiper.
Yeah, I remember when I saw the first movie, the 80s one, when Raphael says, "Damn!" in the streets, I was like, no, Raph, you can't use that language. I was so offended. I was
great.
scared that I heard it. I'm like, my parents are going to see that.
They're
I
gonna
watched
know
this movie.
your ears have changed color now that they've
I'm going to
heard
get in
swears.
trouble.
So let me ask you guys: are you proponents of the different colored bandanas for the turtles, or you like them all red?
Different colors.
Different colors.
Yeah, you gotta
All
go
red,
different.
all red, my friends. That's the comics original.
What? Get
You
out
tell
of here.
the difference by the weapons they're carrying.
What's your favorite turtle?
Raphael. He's the Wolverine.
Out of all of the reissued,
Mine was
figures-
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
Wait, yours was Raph and yours
Yeah.
was Michelangelo because he's a party dude.
Yeah, he's a party dude.
Yeah, Michelangelo.
Right?
What?
I think I was a Michelangelo kid too.
Get out of here, Randy.
As an adult, I'd probably lean more Donatello, but
I like
as a
Donatello
kid-
had the bow staff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Don.
Leonardo has the swords.
I like Don.
Okay, Michelangelo had nunchucks, and that's cool.
Yep. So, which out of all like the ones you can still buy, which one do you think the weapons are like the most easily lost out of all the figures?
Oh, what?
The Raph Sai.
You think?
Hell yeah!
Huh,
Oh no,
okay.
I've looked. Like you can find tons of bow staffs, tons of swords, but the sides are never there, and then the nunchucks kind of sucked. So
Yeah, I can see that.
they're probably just there because nobody played with them.
The other thing I want to say that I never actually saw these cartoons, but Usagi Yojimbo, which is a comic I love, he showed up in some of them, and I love that character, and I love the idea that he showed up in those.
The turtles are what got me introduced to Stan Sakai.
Which, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So like it was through Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I discovered Usagi and
Yeah.
all that.
Well, Jonathan, great question. I guess. We wanted to talk about some turtles.
You know what's funny about Ninja Turtles? Besides living in a sewer, eating pizza, and doing karate, I don't remember what the hell they did. Like I know
They fought the
bad
Foot.
guys.
Yeah, they fought the Foot.
Yeah,
And also the rats. What are they called? Rats.
Splinter.
Splinter was his
No.
master.
What are the Mousers? They fought the Mousers that Baxter Stockman.
The Rat King?
No, the Mousers, the little robots.
I forgot that.
Oh yeah,
And Krang and
Krang
the
and-
Triceratons.
Yeah,
Krang was pretty sick.
Krang's great.
Yeah.
Krang's in the sequel movie that just came out.
And the Targaryens?
No, that's different.
The Starks?
That's different.
Oh.
That's Dragon Baby.
That's Dragon Babies.
Dragon babies. One last question, guys. Michael Gassini says, "Hey, dudes. So while watching Disenchantment, I had a hard time listening to John DiMaggio's voicing King Zog.
Me too.
While not thinking about his voice as Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. Are there any veteran voice actors that you have a hard time separating from their most iconic roles?
The one that comes right to mind is Conroy. Is it Adam Conroy?
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy.
Batman.
Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Will Arnett as his Batman.
Oh my God! No, because he's BoJack.
I'm okay. Fine.
He's got more than one.
Will Arnett
He's the
BoJack?
same voice though. It's just
It
Will
is the same-
Arnett.
Yeah.
All I hear is Will Arnett.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who is the coach in home movies?
Coach McGurk.
Warburton?
Yeah,
Patrick Warburton?
Is Warburton?
The Tick?
No, that's not Warburton. That's H. John Benjamin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Sean.
Yeah,
okay.
so Archer.
Okay, never mind. That's a really bad example, but for the longest time, I was just like, home movies. Every time I saw him in anything.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick Warburton is hard to pin down for me on anyone, but Brock Sampson, I think, from Venture Brothers is just that's the character that's perfect for his voice for me, even more so than the Tick, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like if I just saw Patrick Warburton in real life, and he spoke with any level of energy, it would immediately be Brock Sampson.
You know, one thing I do want to mention on Venture Brothers, going back a little bit, their voice acting cast, it's not like the star-studded cast like most things are, but their cast is so good. Like Ray Romano is basically the voice of one of the henchmen, and Patton Oswalt is basically the voice of the Alchemist. Like there's when I'll be listening and I'm like,
so the Alchemist is Master Shake.
Okay.
That's the same voice.
Because I'm listening and I'm like, wait a minute, is that Patton Oswalt? No, it's not. It's somebody doing a riff on, and same thing with it's a dead perfect riff on Ray Romano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I their voice cast is really great.
They make reference to the Ray Romano voice.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. We want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. And we will be back again next week to talk about all sorts of TV goodness, to take your questions, and to talk about some crazy news that's going on. We want to tell you guys once again that we love you. And
Whoa.
We love you.
I just like you guys.
Grant just blew a kissy face at the mic.
I just like you a lot. I think
Randy doesn't feel that way about y'all.
I think you're neat.
Is this, are we drawing this out a little bit too long?
A little bit.
Randy's not there yet, but give him time.
Until next week.
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.